Hi Year 6, welcome to Thursday's maths lesson. As it's a Thursday, I am here with an investigation for you to have a go at today. However, before we go into the main part of our lesson and we have a look at that investigation, we have got our usual 6 arithmetic questions followed by our 2 stretch questions. So you know what to do, pause the video and have a go, and then I will go through the answers. Okie dokes then. Question 1, it is 6 cubed, so that means, I need to grab my pen tool so I can write there. 6 cubes means 6 times 6 times 6. So 6 times 6 is 36, and then we probably don't know what 36 times 6 is, so we're going to need to work it out. 36 times by 6, do a little short multiplication. 6 times 6 is 36, carry my 3, 6 times 3 is 18, add my 3 gives me 21. So my answer is 216 for that first question. Just rub that out and write it in there. Okay, question number 2. We've got 1.5 times 224. Remember, to do this we do 1 lot of 224 plus half of 224. So 1 lot of 224 is 224 plus a half of 224. I can do that in my head. That's 112. Add them together and it gives us the answer 336 for question 2. Question 3 is once again a BODMAS question. I need to do the brackets first, because that's my B in BODMAS, followed by the multiplication second. So 8 divided by 2 gives me 4, and then I've got 4 times 4, which gives me the answer 16. Okay, question 4, it's a fraction times a whole number. Remember, T for times, T for top number. The top number is going to change, the denominator is not going to change. So 2 times 5 on the top gives me 10, and my denominator stays at 5. Okay, question 5, I've got a decimal and I'm dividing that by 10. Remember, to divide by 10, I need to move the digits. Dividing by 10 today rather than timesing by 10. So today I am moving those digits one place to the right. So I have 2.4 to start off with, and both of my digits need to move one place to the right, which leaves me with the answer 0.24. Okay, question 6, we are adding fractions. To add fractions, we have to have the same denominator. I have only just spotted, as I'm going through the answer for this, that I've given you the same denominator for those fractions. I've made that nice and easy for you today. Okay, 2 6 add 3 6 gives us the answer 5 6. Nice and straightforward today, but you do get questions that are very similar to that on a SATs paper. Okay, and then over to the stretch questions if you attempted those. Okay, the answer to the first stretch question was 475,039, and the answer to the long division was 36 today. Okay, over onto our times table practice. Give yourself a minute, see how many you can do. Off you go. Okay, I'm hoping you're doing all right this morning. Into the main part of our lesson then, and the investigation. Okay, I know I really enjoy planning these lessons. I hope you're really enjoying doing these investigation lessons too. Okay, what I can is I can solve a complex problem involving coordinates. So, on the graph paper, I have got 28 little crosses, 28 marked points. These points all mark the vertices, remember vertices means corners, of 8 hidden squares. So there are 8 squares hidden in here, and the crosses go on the corners of the squares. Each of the 4 red crosses, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 red crosses. Each of the 4 red crosses means that at that point, at that cross, two squares meet. So it's not only the corner of one square, but it's the corner of two squares. Okay. All of the squares share just one vertex with another square. So the red crosses, they don't share more than one corner with another square, they only share one corner. And lots of the squares are different sizes, they're not all the same size. And there are none of these crosses appear on one of the lines of a square. So for example, if I had a square like this, that's not a square, but if it was a square, none of the crosses touch the lines of any of the squares. The crosses only appear on the corners of the squares, or vertices. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're going to try and find the 8 hidden squares, and we're going to record their coordinates. That is our task, to find the hidden squares and write down their coordinates. Okay, in order to do this then, we're going to need to follow some keys to success. So firstly, you're going to need to print a blank coordinate grid, okay, of which there are some in the lesson folder for today's maths lesson. If you can't print because you don't have a printer, that's completely fine. You could either draw your own blank coordinate grid, or you could load up the blank coordinate grid in Paint that I have put on in the maths folder for today. Okay, so you've got 3 options there depending on what your circumstances are at home, but hopefully you'll be able to access this lesson using one of those 3 options. Either printing it, drawing your own, or using Paint, Microsoft Paint, or a similar program on a tablet to draw on the screen and do this on a screen. Okay, so once you've got yourself set up with a blank coordinate grid, and I will just show you what I mean by that, that is in your folder for today. So this is the Paint version. If you're going to be using Microsoft Paint, you load it up, it looks like this. Similarly, we also have the blank grid version that you can print off. Okay, so your first key to success is to get yourself set up with that blank grid. Secondly, you're going to need to look carefully at the crosses on my screen, and you're going to need to plot each of those crosses onto your blank grid. Okay, there's a bit of skill involved in this because you're going to need to read the coordinates really carefully to plot those crosses. If this is something that you're really struggling with and getting those crosses in the right place, I have also put in your lesson folder for today a scaffold, not a scaffold, a scaffold with the crosses already plotted on. So if you're struggling, print or find the one that looks like this already. It's already got the crosses up. Okay, it saves you a job if you are struggling with it. Okay, once you've done that, you need to start to join the crosses to make squares. And there's no easy way to do this. It requires quite a bit of thinking, and it is quite tricky. You might have a bit of a fabulous struggle with this, and it doesn't matter, it's not a race, okay? So you're going to need to start to join the squares using a ruler. So I'll show you what I mean, and I will just do a couple of squares first of all. To me, you can start anywhere you want on this grid, but to me, when I look at this, I can see straight away in this corner down here, there is square there. Just by looking at those crosses, I can see, right, that's a square. Okay. Remember, the red cross means that this square will share its corner with another square. And again, straight away, I can see there's another square here. So if I start joining up, I can see there's another square right there. But this time, the square's a little bit wonky. Okay, it's not straight. The squares don't have to be straight in this, so you're going to have to look really carefully. Some squares will be wonky. As you can see, these 2 squares are different sizes as well. And all of our squares are all lots of different sizes. So again, that's another tricky part of this investigation. Okay, remember those red crosses, they mean that they share a corner. Okay, can you see how my 2 squares that I've plotted share that corner? They've got the same point of a corner. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now then is go away and have a go at that. When you think you have found all 8 squares, remember to write down their coordinates. Okay, so that's what we're looking for today, whether you've remembered how to read coordinates. Remember, reading coordinates in through the door and up the stairs. Read along the bottom and then up the side. So if you pause the video now, go away and have a go, and then you can come back and have a look at the answers. Okie dokes then. Hopefully you have managed to find all 8 squares. On my screen now, I have got all 8 squares there for you, so you can see what they looked like and where they were. I'd like you to compare that to your work. Does your work look the same? Have you found those same 8 squares? Or have you got a little bit lost and perhaps you've accidentally joined up some of the other points? Perhaps some of your shapes don't quite look like squares. But those were our 8 squares that we were looking for. But most importantly, the main part of this was to find out what the coordinates are for those 8 squares. So if you haven't done that part and written down the coordinates, pause the video and off you go and do it. If you have, great. We'll have a look at the answers now. Okay, so these were the coordinates that we were looking for. So check your coordinates very, very carefully, 1 square at a time. Check them against the coordinates on the screen. Your square, they might be in a different order. The order doesn't matter, but it's the coordinates that are most important. All right then, year 6. Hopefully you've been successful with this and you have got the coordinates right. If you enjoyed that and you're feeling like a bit more of a challenge, and I'm hoping actually lots of you will have a go at this challenge today, we have got the same problem, but it's just a trickier version now. So this time around, we have got 10 hidden squares on our coordinate grid. And you might spot we've got a full coordinate grid here then with 4 quadrants, just like we were looking at in our lessons this week. Exactly the same rules apply. This is our stretch activity for today. So if you found the last activity tricky and you don't fancy trying this, that is fine. But I would like a lot of you to challenge yourself today and have a go at this one. So exactly the same as with the last one, you can print off a blank coordinate grid and plot the crosses. Alternatively, you can find a blank coordinate grid in Paint, which you can plot the crosses for and have a go. Okay, so pause the video now, have a go, and once again, if you'd like to come back and I will reveal the answers then to this stretch exercise. Okay then, year 6. Hopefully you've had a go at the stretch. If you have, here is my version on the screen. So I've tried to label the different squares in there. I've plotted them all, found them all. And the coordinates, remember the coordinates was the most important thing that we were looking for here. The coordinates we were looking for were these coordinates. So again, you're going to need to pause the video and check really carefully your answers against my answers. All right then, year 6. Moving on to the final part of our lesson then. Just before we go into the plenary, I have got a little website that I want to share with you. So I've put here, do you want to do more work on coordinates? If so, follow the extra link, which is underneath this lesson video, and have some fun using coordinates to make pictures online. So if you follow that website link, it will take you to this website here. Now, this is just like a little game that you can play. It gives you a coordinate which you have to plot. So, for example, it's giving me the coordinate 2, 13. So I need to find 2, and I need to find 13, and I need to click it. Okay, and it plots that for me. When I click it, it changes it to the next coordinate. So this time it says 3, 9, and I click it, and it joins them together for me. 2, 7, and I click it. Okay, and what it does is when you follow the coordinates, you've got 30 points to plot. It creates a picture, and at the end you can see your wonderful picture that you have created. Picture 1 is the easiest. If you click through, picture 2 is a bit harder. Picture 3 is harder again. Picture 4 even harder, and picture 5. So that's just an optional extra for today. If you want to have a little bit of fun by creating some pictures using coordinates, this website is really, really good for that, and I hope you enjoy that. Okay, final part of our lesson then, the plenary. And for our plenary today, we've got a little mini quiz. Okay, so make sure you've got your pen and paper handy, or your pencil and paper handy, and I've got 4 questions for you. Question 1. What is the golden rule of coordinates? Okay, pause the video, write it down. Okay, golden rule of coordinates then. Shout it at your screen right now. What's the answer? What is the golden rule? Okay. Remember, I like to say run before you can fly, or in through the door and up the stairs. But the main idea is that you go across and then you go up. As long as you remembered that and you've written something along those lines, you can give yourself a point. Okay, question 2. Which is the x-axis and which is the y-axis? Pause the video, write your answer down. Okay, the answer we were looking for was the x-axis goes across, the y-axis is the one that goes up and down. Question 3. How can you remember which axis is which? How do you know which one is the x and which is the y? What ways have I given you this week in my videos to help you remember that? Pause the video now and write it down. Okie dokes. The way I like to remember the y, the letter y comes down. It's got that descender on it. Down, up or down. The y-axis is the one that goes up or down. The x-axis looks like a cross, so it goes across. Okay, question 4. What does the word translate mean in maths? So we're talking about maths and we're talking about translate. What are we talking about? Pause the video now and write it down. Okay, and the answer we were looking for was move. Translate means to move a shape. Okay, year 6. That's the end of our lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back tomorrow morning with our maths quiz for our Friday. See you tomorrow.